Real businesses like Malibu Apothecary rely on Spectrum to keep them connected.
We're a fragrance company, but we also have a lot of technology that we use. Spectrum is really the backbone of any of the business we do here. Having a reliable, fast internet service that can fit my budget is really great. I traded a 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9. It's a lot of work, but I love it.
Spectrum Business Internet starts at $40 a month when bundled. Learn more at spectrum.com/business. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey everyone, I am so excited because today I have Dr. Darnyelle Harmon on the line, and she's here to talk to us about how to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures without losing faith or losing focus. So hey Darnyelle, how are you?
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and I'm excited for this conversation because who don't want to scale from 6 to 7 figures? Okay?
I mean, everybody should want to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures. I mean, yeah.
Right. But I know just in talking to a lot of small business owners, they start losing that faith and they start losing that focus. And I know me personally, I can say I lose focus a lot. I do a lot of different things at once. And so that kind of dilutes what I put out. So let's just jump into the conversation here. So what are some tips or what are some things that business owners should think about when they're trying to scale so they don't lose that?
Yeah. So what I would love to do first is just define scaling. Scaling is very misused in the marketplace. And I want to make sure that we're all on the same page about what the word actually means and what it means in your business. So scaling is the act of multiplying, duplicating, and replicating systems and strategies in order to increase your results and your revenue. I want to say that first is because often when you get to 6 figures, you can make that first 6 figures without knowing exactly what it is that you did, which means you don't actually yet have something that you want to multiply, duplicate, or replicate. So it's important that you have a firm foundation under your business before you attempt to start to do more of the same things to create more of the result that you want to experience, right? So those specific things that you need to make sure that you have really, really clear. Number one is your strategy. Now, strategy is also a widely misused word. So I'm going to define for your listeners what I mean when I say strategy. There are 10 components that you want to make sure that you are clear about, you have consistency around, and you have a demonstration of results pertaining to that particular component of strategy. Number one, you need to be very, very clear on your pinnacle client. Who is the person that you can help solve a problem they've been unsuccessful at solving on their own? Number two, what is the problem that that person has that they have attempted multiple times to find a solution to, but they haven't been able to do so? Number three, what is the promised solution you can bring to them because you understand them and their problem? Number four, how is that promised solution packaged so that it gets them the result in the time frame that is going to be the best for their highest good? Number five, what is the price point associated with that package for that problem that you are going to solve for them? Number six, how profitable is that particular package based on the price that you've assigned to it? Number seven, how is it positioned in the marketplace so that it is seen as the only and obvious choice for your client? Number eight, how is it promoted? Like, how are we putting it out there in the world consistently so that we can see the results that we want to see? Number nine, what is our plan for getting enough people into our ecosystem at any particular point in time so that once we set a goal for a specific revenue mile marker, there isn't an obstacle to us achieving it? Like, one of the things people often do wrong is they haven't really established a plan. And then number 10 is, what is the public relations process that I have around me, my brand, this problem, this person, this package, this solution, and how I'm positioning it so that all of these things can come together and create a well-informed strategy that I can start to track, look at the data for, and as a result of that, be able to put some predictability in place of how often I'm going to be able to do that. So that's just the first thing, and that's the strategy. Most people, They understand that we need a strategy, but they are not thinking in depth enough for the level of interaction and thought that they have to put into the strategy to well inform its predictability to create profitability. And then from there, we've got to look at the sales infrastructure. So all of that strategy is just to inform the ability to get to a sales decision, right? So whether we're having a conversation, they're on a sales page, we're in the DMs, we're live in front of them and on a stage, in a room, any of those ways we could be holding a sales conversation, have we thought through how to take that conversation from contact to close sale all at that one conversation without the need to have to follow up? And then ultimately, can we do this for more than one client at a time? Because scaling means that our systems and strategies are working on overtime and we're not. So that means that we have to have a leveraged sales infrastructure so that we can close more than one sale at a time. And then the third thing I'll share for now, because I'm sure you might have some follow-up questions, is what are the systems, right? Have we actually put some systems in place? And when I say systems, I'm talking about the standard operating procedures or SOPs, as well as the standard automation procedures or SAPs, and the software that we are utilizing in order to take the guesswork and the need to start from scratch anytime we want to do anything within our organization. So strategy, sales infrastructure, and system are the first three things we need to make sure we have in place before we make a run at scaling our business.
Okay, so you just said a mouthful right there.
I told you this is my favorite thing to talk about, right? I told you that.
And mine too. That's why I'm like, I got to watch this time for real, because we'll be here all day talking about this. But I want to go all the way back to the strategy portion, because how you just broke that down, and I hope my listeners have their pen and paper and they jotted all of this down, because, and if not, go back and re-listen to this, because the way you just broke down strategy is super important. And I know for a fact, just working with a bunch of different business owners in many different industries, from small to big, they usually don't think about a lot of that stuff. It's just like the strategy is like, oh, I know my target audience. I know what I'm going to put out there, but not really thinking in depth with those 10 items that you just mentioned. So I just wanted to shout that out and pause for a minute, pause for the cause, because that was gold right there.
Yeah. And the reason it's so important is because, remember, scaling is multiplying, duplicating, and replicating. So if we're not getting down to the specificity of each of those 10 things pertaining to the strategy, we won't have anything to multiply, duplicate, or replicate. So it has to be clear, it has to be succinct, and it has to be detailed, because we're looking to put systems in place so that we don't start from scratch every time we say, I need to go out here and make some money. And we can only do that if we get this specific and this detailed in the process.
Right, exactly. And then the second thing that you mentioned after strategy was the sales process, right?
Yep.
And I feel like that's another place that business owners fall short. And now this time I'm talking to myself because sales is something that I've always said. People, if you listen to the podcast for some length of time now, you know, I always say I'm not good at sales. Sales is not my thing, this, that, and the other. And having that sales strategy is extremely important. And so as part of that, where do you see most small business owners, like once they get their strategy down packed, they got all the 10 steps and things like that, they're moving into the sales, where do you see them make the biggest mistake?
Yeah. So, you know what, honestly, Tiffany, is what you just said. The thought pattern and belief that says I'm not good at sales. And let's be clear, we're all good at sales. And here's what I mean when I say that. From the day you came into the earth realm and you've been interacting with other humans, and if there's ever been a time in your life where you wanted to do one thing and someone else wanted to do something else and you ended up doing your thing, you sold them on the idea of your thing. So because we think sales is this arduous, hard stop where we have to shift into a person who often we might be uncomfortable because we're uncomfortable with money, we think it's this different thing, but sales is really just an extension of a conversation to offer service to a person who wants a solution they haven't been able to get on their own, period. And if you are the person who can offer them that solution, all you need to do is to tell them. We don't have to convince. We just have to confirm, because they're going to need to borrow your confidence in your solution and your ability to help them with that solution to say yes to themselves to make this investment in order to get access to your solution. So you just need to come to the table clearly understanding their problem and your solution, and how when the two come together, you're going to make some magic together. And when you can do that, you simply need to repeat these words. Would you like my help? And you know what? You just asked for the sale without saying, do you want to buy this? Because I think that's what gets people agita, is because they've made sales as that icky used car salesperson that follows them around the car lot. Or when you go into, like, if you've ever been on a vacation and you wanted a free thing, so you went to the timeshare presentation, which I like to do that for sport, by the way, just to watch how people sell, as well as I love to watch infomercials to learn how people sell and the components of the sales process that you need to say. But because of the way that sales are viewed in the marketplace and by individuals such as yourself, we think it's something different than it really is. So the first thing is to just shift the way you see sales by shifting the way you see yourself and the way that you see the ability to solve a problem for someone else. Beyond that, the conversation itself does have to have distinct moments or phases so that it makes the natural progression to them making a decision to say yes to themselves through your product or service at the end of the call. And often that's where people can get caught up. Like, I remember I used to be in Mary Kay. I was a pink Cadillac sales director. And what they taught us as they were teaching us the sales training is the one who speaks first after the pitch is the one who leaves with the product. And often we get uncomfortable after we've, said, do you want to buy? If those are the words that we use, we get uncomfortable. So we keep talking to fill the space. But that's actually the worst thing that you can do. What you should do after you have stated what they need to hear is pause and give them space to make the decision themselves, to say yes to themselves. So often I'll be in a sales conversation and I'll say, I'm 100% confident that I can help you to solve your problem. And the investment to do so is X. And then I'll be quiet. And the other person, whether we're on Zoom or we're on a call, will be like, okay, did she hang up? Did she freeze? And I'm just waiting. And they'll be like, hello, are you there? And I'll say something like, yes, I'm here. I was just giving you space to figure out how you're going to make this investment in yourself to solve this problem right now. And they're like, oh, because they have to decide, and nothing happens until they make the decision. And if you come into the sales conversation fully knowing, fully convinced in your own mind that you are the best thing since pockets, and without you, this problem is going to continue to linger for them, that energy is all you need to hold space for them so that they can say yes to themselves.
Yes. I love that. And it's so true. And I've gotten out of that mindset, And I've realized that people actually are waiting for me to sell to them.
Absolutely. If people decide that, you are their person, or they love what they get from you in a free environment, like a podcast, they want more. They're always trying to figure out how they can take you home. Right? And the only way they do that is if we make them an offer. And the offer is just, hey, I see you. I understand what you're going through. And I have a ready-made solution that will get you what it is that you want. Would you like it? And so when we do that, when we take on that energy and that positioning or posturing, it can change the game. It can take all of the agita and the overwhelm out of, I'm not good at sales, because you are good at sales. We're all good at sales.
Right. I love that. And I have so much to say about that, but I want to move on because I don't want to run out of time before we hit on one of my absolute favorite things, and that's the systems and processes. Okay. My background is in HR. And so I love SOPs. I love systems. I love tech. Like, that is just my thing. But what I've realized is a lot of people don't like that. And so if someone, because I literally literally just helped a business owner this week with their tech stack because they were confused about, okay, how do I use this? What should I use this for? So on and so forth. So if a business owner is out there right now and they're like, I got the strategy down, I've got the sales down, I can sell salt to a snail, but the process and the systems, that's what's preventing me from scaling. What's something that you can say to that person, or what tip can you give them?
Oh, absolutely. So here's what I will tell you to do. And this is what I did. And I am not naturally a person who thinks methodically. That's not my ministry. It's not my gift. But I've learned to become a methodical thinker because I didn't want to have to start from scratch every single time. So the next time you are doing anything that is going to need to be done over and over inside of your business, I want you to turn on your recorder, whether that's your recorder on your phone or Loom or whatever. And as you are taking the steps that you naturally know to take, because you do this all the time, say out loud what you're doing. The first thing I'm doing is I'm pulling up whateverwebsite.com. Once I get there, I go over to the right-hand side and I click on the login button. I enter my login and password, and then I hit submit. Once I'm finished doing that, I navigate to wherever you navigate. Literally just what's the word I want to use? Why is the word escaping me? Narrate. Just narrate everything that you're doing. Once you have finished your narration, you're going to use one of those amazing AI tools to create a transcript. You're then going to take that transcript, you're going to go back through it because they're not going to spell every word correctly, or they're going to think you said tool, but you actually said two, and you're going to have to correct those things. But once you get that transcript and you go through it, guess what'll happen? You'll have an SOP that you can now give to someone else on your team. Because the whole point of all of these SOPs and SAPs is so that we don't have to be the person, because today we might be the person who's doing it, but eventually we might have an assistant, or we might have a talent team member that is actually serving our clients that needs to follow these steps to produce the result that we know is possible. And this narration turns into an SOP that they can then go and listen to and or read in order to follow the same exact steps to do exactly what you did to produce the same exact result that you did when you did it. And you are somewhere else on the beach in a room that you have to get an invitation to be in, right? You're doing other things because you have these documented procedures that your team can follow in order to produce the results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that idea. And I'm going to take it a step further. There's software that I use that I love, and it's called Scribe. So I'll put a link in the show notes for that. But it's a screen recorder. And so you can just record yourself clicking, and it'll automatically make a how-to guide with what you clicked, what you did, whatever. Of course, it's AI. So you have to go in and make sure it's right, tweak it a little bit. But it does a really great job. And that's how I've created SOPs for Money Talk with Tiff. Exactly what you're saying. So I love that. And I'm sure that will help some people out. I mean, even if you don't have any team members at the moment and you don't even foresee having any team members, go ahead and just start recording your processes, because once you do get to that point, when you do want to hire someone, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. So Thank you so much for all of that info. I mean, this might be one of my favorite episodes because we just nerded out for real. But if people are interested in learning more about you or more about what you're putting out, how could they find you?
Yeah, if you go to movetomillionsgifts.com, I've created a special bundle of wholesome goodies that I would love to share with you just from being here with me on this show with Tiff. If you want more of me and to deepen our connection, go to movetomillionsgifts.com.
Perfect. And I'll make sure I have that link in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Darnyelle, for coming on the show today and dropping all these gems. I'm sure it has transformed a business owner's life out there somewhere. So I know mine. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure to be here.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.